welcome back to another episode of Forgin' Fridays. Oh, losing my voice already, oh my goodness. And I really don't want to lose my voice right now because, folks, we're taking a look at a rather complicated deck today. We're actually taking a look at Tron here. And Tron, I don't quite know why it's called Tron, and in fact, as you'll see, this deck is actually misnamed. It's not Tron, it's Post. But Tron works off of these three, it's Urza's Tower, Urza's Mine, Urza's Workshop, maybe? I don't remember the exact three. But the way that those lands work is you play the land, and it always taps for one colorless mana, but if you get all three of them on your board, then I think the tower taps for 3, and the other 2 tap for 2, so you get 7 in total with those 3 lands. So it's a very good ramp deck in modern legal. This version, which is actually Post, named after this fella here, is not modern legal. Cloudpost is banned in modern because, unlike Tron, which can, does gain mana and can ramp rather fast, Cloudpost ramp exponentially, and you'll see how it works in a minute. So let's go through it. We got Cloudpost here. Cloudpost enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for 1, and adds 1 to your mana pool for each locus on the battlefield. Tap it. So you can see it has the locus type, so it'll always tap for at least 1. But the magic in this deck is we run a bunch of things that aren't Cloudpost, but can be very similar to Cloudpost. So we have our 4 Cloudposts, and then we have as our other locus, the only other locus I believe that's imprinted is Glimmerpost, which enters untapped, and you gain 1 life for each locus on the battlefield when it enters. So that gets you some life gain, and you get it adds only 1 to your mana pool, but it counts as a locus. So you get a Cloudpost down and a Glimmerpost, and you have 3 mana total instead of 2. And we run 4 Thespian stages, which are lands that tap for 1 colorless, but you can pay 2 and tap it, and it becomes a copy of target land, except it has this ability. And you're generally gonna wanna. We'll come back to some of the other targets for it, or rather the other target for it. But when you get the Thespian stage and you only have Cloudpost and just the Glimmerposts, you want to copy the Cloudpost. So then suddenly, if you have a Cloudpost and a Glimmerpost, and you have a Thespian stage and you copy the Cloudpost, suddenly you have, what is that? Each of the Cloudposts tap for 3 at that point, so it'd be 7 total mana with 3 lands. So you can see it's exponential. As you get more and more of these locusts, you get more and more mana. I don't remember what the upper bounds on it actually are. I'm sure it's somewhere in the hundreds, somewhere in over 100, I believe. So those are our posts. But how do we get? Specifically, we really want to get this Cloudpost, and maybe another target. Dark Depths, but we'll go over that later. Cloudpost. So you wanna be able to pull up the lands you need when you need them, and to do that, we run Crop Rotation, which is a green instant that says, as an initial cost to cast the spell, sacrifice land. Search your library for a land card, put that into the battlefield, then shuffle. So that might be a forest, that might be some of these other lands that we have in here. I'll go over later. I should mention this is a mono green deck. So we have some green spells to get us our lands and get us some draw and things like that. So we're going to be able to cast these. But and the secret of this is, if you have a forest in play or some green source in play, something that you want to get, a land that you want to sacrifice, tap the land first to get the mana to cast Crop Rotation, or just put it to your mana pool. Then play Crop Rotation, target the land you just used to destroy it, and get your Cloudpost, or get the land you're looking for. Expedition map, another way that we can get the land we need. It's 1 for an artifact that says tap and pay 2 to sacrifice Expedition map. Search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So that it doesn't get it on the field like Crop Rotation does, but it does get it into your hand. So you still have to, with Crop Rotation, you can actually kind of bend the rules of playing 1 land per turn. Expedition map, you still have to worry about that. So outside of that, how do we get our lands? How do we get our major cards here? The key components we need. We run an Ancient Stirring. We run 4 Ancient Stirrings, which is 1 green for sorcery. And by the way, this Crop Rotation can be used, since it's an instant, on your opponent's end step. Useful. Ancient Stirrings. Back to Ancient Stirrings here. 1 green for a sorcery. It says, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You reveal a colorless card from among them and put it into your hand. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. The key to this is to remember, one of the magic things about Ancient Stirring here is all lands are colorless. Even these forests that tap for green, even the Coldry Gardens here that we'll go over later, all of that taps for are technically colorless cards. So your Ancient Stirring can look at the top 5 cards of your library and get you a green mana source. It can get you one of the lands you need. It can, even get you an Expedition map or one of these other cards here that maybe you don't get the land you want immediately, but you can use Expedition map to get it. That's Expedition map. Beyond that, we run, that's Ancient Stirring. Beyond that, we run Chromatic Star, which is 1 for an artifact that says tap 1, sacrifice Chromatic Star, add 1 mana of any color. When Chromatic Star is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. So you can see these are kind of a combination of card draw and mana fixing, because we are a green deck. We do want to have the mana to play Ancient Stirring or Crop Rotation, and some of our other green cards. You can see we'll get to those later. So we do run some, these do provide mana fixing and card draw. Chromatic Sphere, very similar. It's 1 for an artifact that is 1, and it says 1 tap, sacrifice Chromatic Sphere, add 1 mana of any color, draw a card. So very similar, almost the exact same effect. I think the only difference is Chromatic Star, if something destroys it, you draw that card anyway, even without having to sacrifice it. Prophetic Prism is 2 and is an artifact for 2 that says When Prophetic Prism enters the battlefield, draw a card, and it has 1, and tap to add 1 mana of any color. So that's a permanent mana fixing. These are very much the Chromatic Star and Sphere are one use. Prophetic Prism is multi-use. So a little more expensive, but you know, if you have a ton of colorless mana and you're holding a bunch of colored spells, Prophetic Prism can be used to mana fix. So it's our card draw. Now I want to go over what I call, and like I said, this is kind of a complicated deck, so it's going to take a bit of time. We do have a lot of different cards in here. I want to go over now what I call the 6 mana train. So what the 6 mana train is we run 3 Fierce Empaths, which are 2 and a green, for a creature that says when Fierce Empath enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle the library. So what 6 manas or greater are we going to get? Well, I'll go over some of the 6 manas for our 6 mana train. So our 6 manas here are Aurochs Herd, which is 5 and a green for a creature that is 4/4 trample. Oh, I should mention that Fierce Empath is a 1/1. It also works as a blocker. So, you know, generally you play a Fierce Empath, you tutor out the thing you want from your deck, and then let it sit there as a blocker. You're generally not attacking with the Fierce Empath. Aurochs Herd, as I was saying, 5 and a green for a 4/4 trample that says when Aurochs Herd comes into play, you may search your library for an Aurochs card, reveal it, put it into your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. When Aurochs Herd attacks, it gets +1/0 until end of turn for each other attacking Aurochs. So we run 4 Aurochs. That means that, and in fact, that's the only Aurochs that we run in this entire deck. So you can tutor up with your Fierce Empath. If you're a bit strapped for mana, you can tutor up an Aurochs Herd, which only costs 6, play it, and then go tutor up another Aurochs, and then another, and then another. So, you know, at some point you're going to have, if you go down that route, you'll have 4 Aurochs here, 4 Aurochs Herds that will attack and will get, what is it, +4? So they'll become 8/4 tramples. Nothing to sneeze at there. That's a decent amount of damage. And if you're mana strapped, for this deck, 6 is a bit mana strapped. You can Aurochs Herd and go down that route. The other target we have here is Protean Hulk, and Protean Hulk is 5 and 2 green for a 6/6 creature that says when Protean Hulk dies, search your library for any number of creature cards with total mana value 6 or less, and put them into the battlefield. Then shuffle. So you'll notice this is 6 or less, and this is 6 or more. So you can use Protean Hulk when it dies, and hopefully it won't die. It is a 6/6. I've actually found I don't generally. Protean Hulk might go a bit into the take it or leave it section of this deck, but the fun part about it is Protean Hulk dies, you can grab 2 Fierce Empaths, which then grab an Aurochs Herd, or, you know, some other large creature. So Protean Hulk is useful in that regard. Like I said, it's kind of a take it or leave it. Primeval Titan, Prime Time, as he is colloquially known, is 4 and 2 green, a little bit less than Prime Time. Oh, did I miscount? This guy's actually a little more than 6. Oops, I miscounted there. He is not a 6. But Prime Time is. Prime Time is 4 and 2 greens. So you can fetch him with your Protean Hulk. You can fetch him with the Fierce Empath. And he has Trample. He's a 6/6. And he has, when Primeval Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards. Put them into the battlefield tab and shuffle your library. So that could mean you get 2 Cloudposts as soon as he comes into the field. You could, like I said, you could Protean Hulk, get Prime Time here. You get Fierce Empath, get Prime Time into your hand and plan. The 2 green is a bit hard in this deck. You have to rely on sort of a mana fixing. But he comes in, and then you can immediately get, at minimum 4 mana, 4 extra mana for your next turn. The lands do come into play tapped, so you do have to wait a turn. And I know some of these, I know their decks built around Primeval Titan, not so popular these days, that use, Amulet of Vigor to untap everything. We don't run that. Not in this deck. Prime Time's still great in this deck for tutoring up all of the all of our different lands. For protection, speaking of all these larger creatures here that can, all these kind of blockers, we do run 2 Khalni Gardens, which come into play tapped, but when they come into play, they create a 0/1 green plant creature token. This deck is a bit slow, so these fellows here, if you happen to draw into them, I wouldn't tutor up for Khalni Garden. But if you happen to draw into them, you play it. It does provide a green mana source, and it gets you a blocker, an immediate blocker. A bit of protection. So, the biggest section of this deck, the bombs. I'm gonna try to go through them in the order of, we'll go least to greatest. The smaller bombs to the bigger atomic bombs in this deck. First bomb here is Kozilek the Great Distortion, which is 8 and 2 colorless. You'll note that those are specifically colorless. So all of our, it works pretty well with all of our Cloudposts and things. They do generate colorless mana, so you never really have to worry about getting those colorless for Kozilek. The reason why I'd say he's kind of the least Kozilek, he has menace. He is a 12/12, so he's kind of big, but he's a bit situational in that when you cast the spell, when you cast a spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So that's great if you really want to empty your hand before playing Kozilek. You want to have barely anything in your hand so that you can play him and then suddenly draw into 7 more cards. He also has discard a card with mana value X, counter target spell with mana value X. I don't think I've ever used that ability, although I guess it is very situational. So I wouldn't, once again, he's very situational. Next, I would say Spawnsire of Ulamog. In this deck, it's 10, which, once again, with our ever-expanding mana base as we get more and more Cloudposts, Spawnsire here, it gets easier to cast, and the same with all these other bombs. And it is a 7/11, like the store, And it has Annihilator 1, and Annihilator, we have a few things with Annihilator in here. What Annihilator does, whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices a permanent. That's pretty rough for our opponent. You know, if they only have so many blockers and you swipe with a thing with Annihilator, they have to sacrifice either a land or a blocker, or maybe some kind of artifact or something. So Spawnsire of Ulamog, good with the Annihilator, decent attack ability here. The reason why I rate him a bit bigger than Kozilek is because it has 4, pay 4, put a 2/2, put 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have sacrificed this creature, add 1 to your mana pool. So that's great for, you know, if you have a bunch of mana laying around. And you need some blockers, or you just want to store that mana maybe for another turn. You can pay 4 and basically store half of that mana in these little Spawnsire creatures. That's that ability. Its second ability, I haven't set up for this deck. It's based on the, I'll just read it here. You pay 20, so once again, we're going to rely on our huge mana pool with the Cloudpost, and it says, cast any number of Eldrazi cards you own from outside the game without paying their mana cost. I believe in Forge and in competitive play, that means from your sideboard, not from your entire collection. I don't believe I even set up a sideboard for this deck, so that is kind of a useless ability, and is the reason why this isn't as big of a bomb as it could be in this deck. Next bomb, Void Winnower. For 9 mana, for 9 colorless, it is an 11/9. And it says, your opponent can't cast spells with even mana value. Your opponent can't block with creatures with even mana value. So, this is one of those cards that's kind of a value add. You play it, and it sits on the field. You maybe swipe in a few times with it to do some damage, because all these guys are kind of big. But the problem with it is that, you know, it's not really flashy. You never really know that it's working because your opponent literally won't cast any spells that you know, you don't know what effect it's actually having on the game as you're playing. But certainly, you know, it does stop them from doing things. I don't remember. I think 0 is even, right? So 0 might be blocked by it. I don't recall. But certainly, you know, 2 mana, things like that. Void Winnower, solid card. Next, we get to the really big bombs here. It That Betrays is 12 mana. Now we're getting to the big ones. A 12 mana, an 11/11 that has Annihilator 2. So whenever it swipes, the defender has to sacrifice 2 permanents. And it says, whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So since we have a few things with Annihilator here, and I believe it's specifically sacrifices. So, you know, them blocking it and them dying, that creature dying, and it doesn't necessarily, I don't believe that triggers If That Betrays, but Annihilator, all of our Annihilator cards trigger for that. That ability really shines when you have our next bomb, which is Emrakul, the Aeons Torn. This is the flying spaghetti monster, the big one here, and it has it's a 15/15. it has, go through all this text here. So it's 15 for a 15/15 that has, this spell can't be countered. When you cast this spell, take an extra turn after this one. We have no way of cheating this out. This is specifically kind of worded to stop you from cheating out Emrakul without casting it or somehow getting it out without paying the 15. We will pay the 15. We're definitely going to pay that 15 and get that extra turn. It has flying, protection from spells that are 1 or more colors, and Annihilator 6. When Emrakul, the Aeon Torn, is put into the graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. I guess that, I never really thought about this. This is kind of a protection against mill decks. If our opponent is milling us, and I've noticed this with another deck I have that has a creature with similar wording on it. If someone's milling us, and then Emrakul is put into the graveyard suddenly, we get our entire graveyard back into our deck again. That's more meant as a way of preventing graveyard shenanigans. Dropping Emrakul into the graveyard and then regenerating it, and that's also why it has this bit of text about when you cast the spell, it's resurrected or something. But once again, we're not doing any of those shenanigans. So if anything, I kind of see that as a benefit. I've never had issue. I think it's only kind of a benefit in this deck because we're not doing any of the kind of resurrecting it from the graveyard shenanigans. But the magic synergy here is if you generally you want to play Emrakul, the Aeons Torn, and you get an extra turn, and you want to have it that betrays or some way of getting it that betrays onto the field, because if you can get it that betrays onto the battlefield in your next turn, the extra turn that you get with Emrakul, suddenly you can swing with Emrakul. It has Annihilator 6, opponent sacrifices 6 permanents, it that betrays triggers, and you get all those permanents. Pretty nice synergy between the two of them. So, for the longest time, that was kind of the winning combo in this deck. I'd work to get It That Betrays, work to get Emrakul, and I should mention one of the things I have in here is kind of a take it or leave it. Is the Sanctum of Ugin. The Sanctum of Ugin is good in this deck because it's just a land, taps for 1, but it has, when you cast a colorless spell with converted mana cost 7 or greater, you may sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin. If you do, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So that's great in this deck if you have out Sanctum of Ugin and you play Emrakul. You can sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin and get It That Betrays to play on your extra turn. Or you could, say play a Kozilek, get an Emrakul, Spawnsire, get an Emrakul, Void Winnower, get an Emrakul. I don't think I even mentioned Elder Deep-Fiend. Elder Deep-Fiend here, get an Emrakul. This is a rather complicated deck, so I do feel like I'm jumping around a bit here. I should mention Elder Deep-Fiend here. Elder Deep-Fiend is in 8 for a 5/6, and the great thing about Elder Deep-Fiend here is it has, when you cast the spell, tap up to 4 target permanents. And that's, I should mention, be careful with Forge when you play an Elder Deep-Fiend. You don't want to miss that trigger. It'll prompt you to select the 4 permanents. If you happen to forget that, it can be a problem. This is a great protection mechanism because it has flash, so you can actually play this on your opponent's turn and tap for their attackers and manage to save yourself some damage. It also has a merge, which is 5 and 2 blue. I don't really use it in this deck, just because you need to use some mana fixing. We don't really have any way of generating blue mana beyond the mana fixers we have here. And you can cast the spell for its emerge cost by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost, reduced by the creature's converting mana cost. But I don't really want to sacrifice any of the big ones to get Elder Deep-Fiend, so it'd probably be a couple of Fierce Empaths or maybe an Aurochs Herd. I'd rather keep the Aurochs Herd. 4/4 is pretty good for a blocker. But yeah, Elder Deep-Fiend, not a bad card. Certainly great for tapping things down as it enters. Maybe you tap this maybe you have this in hand and you play your Emrakul, then in the second turn you tap things down to swing in for lethal. Back onto the tangent I had gotten on. So for the longest time, the winning combo in this deck was to get your Emrakul, get your If That Betrays, maybe just an Emrakul. Emrakul will generally win you the game all on its own, unless they have some sort of blocker or something. Or some way of that. I have no idea. There's so much protection on it, it's a bit hard to get rid of. So for the longest time, that's generally the winning combo in this deck. And then at some point, Dark Depths came down in price enough that I threw it in this deck, and it completely changed the way that I play it. It's such a disruptive card in this deck. Before I used to try to build up Cloudpost, build up a lot of mana, play a big thing, play Emrakul, win the game that way. Now the combo in this deck, the way that this deck really works at this point, after I went over all the stuff, don't even use most of it these days. The way that you win this game, you get 2 mana of any type. So a Cloudpost, Cloudpost and Glimmerpost, Cloudpost, Forest, Glimmerpost, Deserted Temple as you go over. You get 2 mana, you get your Dark Depths onto the battlefield, and it's a legendary snowland. Dark Depths enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters on it. You can pay, 3 to remove an ice counter from Dark Depths. When Dark Depths has no ice counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, create Merit Lodge, a legendary 20/20 black avatar creature token with flying and indestructible. So you're probably saying, why don't I know why did I need to look, stare a bit closer and figure out what that mana cost is on this deck, on this one card that has transformed this deck? Because you're not going to be paying that. What you're going to do, you're going to get your 2 mana, you're going to get your Dark Depths on the field, and you're going to get a Thespian stage, any Thespian stage. Get it on the board, and then you pay your 2 mana and have Thespian stage become a copy of Dark Depths. Only because it didn't enter, it was already on the field, it doesn't get the 10 ice counters on it. It starts out with no ice counters on it, so it immediately so the game will ask you, because it's a legendary land, it'll ask you to select one to keep on the field. You're going to select the Thespian stage because it has no counters on it, and because it has no counters on it, it will sacrifice itself. It'll trigger this last part here. When Dark Depths has no ice counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, create Merit Lodge. So you'll get your Merit Lodge once you copy Dark Depths with Thespian stage. The downside of that is you do have to sacrifice 2 lands to do it. You lose your Thespian stage because you're sacrificing it to this effect. You lose your Dark Depths to the legendary rule. But you do, you are left with your whatever your 2 mana is, and you have a 2/2 flying indestructible token. The downside is, if your opponent has any flyers, you're not going to kill them immediately. And I should mention, you don't want to activate. You don't want to activate Thespian Stage on your turn. Activate it on your opponent's end step after they've tapped out as much as possible. Once they've tapped out as much as possible, do the copy ability, sacrifice the 2 lands, get Merit Lodge, because then when you begin your turn, you'll have Merit Lodge, and it won't have Summoning Sickness, because that's the start of your new turn. The downside to this, though, is that if your opponent has any sort of removal, something that says put target permanent on top of the owner's library, or put it in exile, put it in the graveyard, anything, any sort of removal, then you're in big trouble, because then you only have 2 mana and no permanent, no big giant monster. But if you have and if the opponent has some sort of flyer, they will be able to block it. Maybe not for long, but it is. It does have fly and indestructible, so it does have a bit of protection. But that is generally what I've been going for now. I don't generally try to get Emrakul. I try to get Merit Lodge, and sometimes, depending on how the game goes, sometimes I get a Merit Lodge and an Emrakul, and an It That Betrays, full board. It's kind of rare when that happens. All right, folks. Oh, that was a bit long, wasn't it? I've been talking for a while about that deck. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it, folks. Let's see, what do we have here? We got our map. We got 3 mana. We got our. This is actually pretty good. We have 2 ways of getting our combo pieces here. We need to get our Thespian Stage and our Dark Depths, and I think we have everything we need. Let's go for it. Ooh, and a blocker. I think we'll get a blocker. And we'll get Glimmerpost. Gain us life. And we'll get Expedition Map. So we might go we might need an extra turn. I really should have played an untapped land Expedition Map on our first turn, and gone and gotten a Thespian Stage or something. Let's do this. We'll play this and sacrifice these, or sacrifice the Expedition Map. Get be a bit safe in case they have some sort of discard ability. We'll get the Thespian Stage to hand. As long as they don't have, they are black. Ooh, Death Touch. Well, we're not too worried about that. All right, folks. Well, we're all set up here. So we're gonna let him swing in. Do I want to block this Death Touch? I'll take it. Okay. There's the target player loses 1 life for each man. That's fine. That's fine. So we're on end step. Now what the magic happens. Let's crop rotate. We used, you notice we used the mana from the Khalni Garden to get, to pay for the crop rotation. Crop rotating, get Dark Depths, then copy Dark Depths, keep the one with, is very important, keep the one that has no counters on it. And now you can see, now we have our Merit Lodge, our 2020 flying indestructible, and they have no flyers, so you can see it comes off of Summoning Sickness, and then we just swipe in with it. That's it. That's all there is to the deck now. We'll play another one, play maybe a couple more, and maybe I'll try to play a longer match. Maybe in the next one. I'm still gonna, we got 2 Cloudposts, we got a crop rotation, Glimmerpost, some stars, Fierce Empath. This might actually be a longer one. Mill's Fork. Oh, he's on that mill plan, but like we got that Emrakul in there. So if he hits Emrakul, then suddenly it won't matter. Let's Cloudpost. And you know what, folks? Actually, I'm gonna step away for a moment. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I had to step away for just a moment there. I think we're going to be going a bit long on in this match because you do have a crop rotation. We do the Khalni Garden. Chromatic. Let's play these spheres. Let's play the 2 chromatics here. And you can see we got 2 mana from that now because we have 2 locusts. So we'll play both of these. Yeah, I feel like this is more of a this time course. There it is. Speak of the devil, they hit the Emrakul, and now their mill plan is just falling apart. Oh, and another. Let's see, we're going. I think we're going big here. This is going to be total. So if we have 4 of these, 8, 9, 10. 10, not quite enough to crop rotate. thinking about it, we can crop rotate. I'm thinking we're going big here. We can use Fierce Empath to get the Emrakul. And he's just doing mill, so we can take our time. he's never going to mill us out because we have the Emrakul, unless he has a way of removing the Emrakul. I don't think it's possible. I do need green. Big mana. Let's get big mana. And maybe, do I want to crop rotate this into another Cloudpost? Because that would get us enough for Emmy. Let's do that. Yeah, green. What do we draw? Chromatic Star. I could have played Cauldron Garden. Could have played Cauldron Garden and sacrificed it. You know what, whatever. Let's. You only live once. Let's get rid of this Glimmerpost. And get another Cloudpost. Okay. It's not. So reveals card until 4 land cards. Okay. You're not gonna mill me out. The Emrakul is preventing it. Let's do a permanent. Get this down. Let's do this. Let's play our Glimmerpost. Gain some life. Each of these is easier to eat all 4. You can see the exponential increase here. So that's what? That's 8, 12, 13. Doing that right? That's 13. Not quite enough to Emrakul. Let's do this. We'll play this. Another Glimmerpost. That will be enough to Emrakul. So let's play this. Sacrifice it for a green. Ooh, that's a good draw. That's a fantastic draw. Play this. And go get it. This is a bit of the tricky part, though, because now we suddenly don't have protection against the mill anymore, but I don't think that's going to matter very soon. 13 cards. I think this should be enough for... Oh, wait. Hold on. We have the Glimmerpost. This is enough. This should be over pretty quickly. Unless they have some kind of mental strike. Let's do a little bit of damage. And then this is where the magic happens. We get our second turn. Get that betrays. Comes down. And now we swing in. And once again, Annihilator 6 on the Emrakul. We just get all those lands, because if it that betrays. Oh, so many lands. Oh, I guess I should, calculate damage. They're not dead yet. They can theoretically do something. They have 3 life. I got all that life from the Glimmerposts. That's why I'm at 32. We'll play this land. I almost didn't play a land for turn. We got their Underground Sea. Very expensive card. And yeah, I mean, they're gonna play a tap land, and they have 3 life. So we're gonna swing in with everything. except for a little plant token. And yeah, sure, we might as well pay the 2 life. And that's it. That's the other combo in this deck. You can either, once again, you can either get the Dark Depths, get the Thespian stage, get Merit Lodge, swing in for 20 with an indestructible flyer, or you can build up your mana base pretty quickly, play Emrakul, and just for the cherry on top, it that betrays, swing in and just take all of your opponent's stuff. Either destroy it or take all of it. So we'll play another one. I know this is going a bit long. We'll play another game with this, and yeah, I don't think we can keep this hand. There's no lands in it. We have 2. Okay. Okay, we'll put Emrakul to the bottom, I think. It's a bit more expensive than, we have a higher chance of hitting the mana cost for It That Betrays than Emrakul. We'll put back Emrakul. We'll go with this. I mean, this is a big risk. We have only 1 green mana, so we'll give it a shot here. We'll see how it goes. Expedition map. This dude has hexproof. Oh boy. Okay. We do have a flyer. We have a couple flyers, but they're rather hard to get to at this point. Cloudpost, Chromatic Star. I think we're gonna go Dark Depths route for this one. Oh boy. Oh, this is gonna. Oh, it's Boggles. Oh no. Oh, but do we have enough? No, those are flyers. I think I need 1 more land, because I can get the Thespian stage with this. We have the Thespian stage. Play the Thespian stage. I wonder if I don't draw a land next turn. Or you know what I can do? I can, I wonder, I could turn Thespian stage into a Cloudpost next turn. Then this will tap for 2. And I could use the 2 on this to pay for this. And I could sacrifice this to get the Dark Depths. I think that's what I might do. Alright, we're going with that. We're going with that. I should sacrifice. You know what? Let's sacrifice this Chromatic Star in the hope of getting another land. Another land would be perfect. What do we have? What did we get? Expedition map. Expedition map's good. I wonder if this is gonna be fast enough though. Doing 6 damage. Let's do... because I can get the Dark Depths with this. It's going to be a little bit slow. I don't know if this is going to be fast enough. Grab the Dark Depths. Play the Dark Depths. So we're not able to do it this turn. Oh boy. It's 10. Oh. Oh no. Oh, that might have done it. They have life gain. we might need to defensively... Actually, I don't think we have a way of winning, do we? Because I can Dark Depths. I can Dark Depths, but then I can only block one of these. And the other one can swing in for 4. And I don't have enough mana to play anything else. Yeah. That's it. That's, they got us. They got us with their boggles. Well, I'll just concede we have no way of winning. Even if I did, and I think these are unblockable, right? Hexproof. This one could be blocked, but yeah, it would just get through with the 4 on this one. Oh, unfortunate. Oh, you know what? You know what, though? Can we... We could Glimmerpost. It would gain us 1. Is there a way of doing this? I haven't played a land. Was the Dark Depths? Did we play that for turn? It does say we didn't play it last turn. If I crop rotate into a Glimmerpost, let's try it. Because otherwise we have no way of doing this. Sacrifice it. Yeah, pay the green. Okay. Glimmerpost. Gain 4. I can crop rotate. But I don't have a green source anymore. I could sacrifice. Do I want to sacrifice the Thespian stage for that? Yeah, because I could Prophetic Prism, which draws a card at least. Desperately hoping that we can get something. What can we get? What did we get? That's not gonna do it. I would have to sacrifice the Glimmerpost again? But then I don't have enough, I'm not gonna have enough mana to Thespian stage to block it. Yeah, I think we've run out of, I've run out of magic, folks. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to somehow block this guy here. Yeah, I can't even, yeah, I have no way of even Dark Depthsing anymore. Yeah. Alright, folks. Well, okay, kind of a down note to lose on there, but we'll call it there. This has gone pretty long, I know. But once again, this is a complicated deck with really 2 different win mechanisms, kind of crammed into one, and they just kind of work because, you know, the basis of this deck is manipulating your lands, so that you either have a lot of mana, you have the right lands out that you get a lot of mana and can cast Emrakul, or you have, or you can manage to get a Thespian stage and a Dark Depths to get your Merit Lodge token. That's the way you win. Those 2 ways. And like I said, right now I mostly prefer the Merit Lodge pathway, if you call it that, and just because it's a little faster. If you go the Emrakul route, you gotta be. I think the only reason why we managed to get it in that one match is because they went mill, and you can't go mill against a deck with an Emrakul. So yeah, that allowed us to go down the other pathway, but it takes time. It takes time to build up to it, and even when you go with the Merit Lodge route, if you're not getting your land drops perfectly, then you know you're not hitting it on turn 4. You're hitting on turn 5 or 6 and being a little bit too slow. All right, folks. Well, I'll call it there, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Forgin' Fridays.